Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to create a new room from scratch. So this video will be short and it's just the initial setup of the room, which has to be done a certain way for your game to work. Actually, placing all the art and objects in your room we'll cover in a different video. So here I am in my project. I'm going to go to my resources, and the way we create a new room is the same way that we create other resources. Okay, we basically right click on the room's title there and you can see create room. I'm going to go ahead and click that, and it's placed a new room in the room's resources, and it's opened the tab here. It's giving us the opportunity to name it. You can see the name is highlighted. I'm going to call this RM_2. Okay, and press enter, and that now names it, just using my naming scheme again. Okay, so the next step is to come over here to the left hand side, and at the bottom we have properties room 2, and this is what we need to see. So I'm just moving these partitions up a bit. The room settings here for room 2. First we have the width and the height. So that's the standard or default width and height. I'm pretty sure that's, no, okay, I lie. My first room was a little bit bigger. You can see the size of the room there. I'm not sure exactly how many tiles, you just have to divide this by 32. Let's just leave it at that size for now. But later on, when you're creating your own rooms, you will have a paper plan of your room layout anyway, on graph paper, and you'll literally be able to count the number of tiles across and down that it takes to contain your whole map, and then you'll be able to multiply those numbers by 32, and that gives you the pixel dimensions, width and height of your room. Okay, the main thing that we have to set up here is what's called the viewport. So I'm going to expand viewports and cameras. I'm clicking enable viewport. Okay, now I'm going to expand viewport 0, and I'm checking visible, and now we have to put in the values or width and height of our viewport. Now the viewport, you can imagine, is a little bit like the camera, okay, that follows your character around. Okay, so when we play, we don't see the whole room at once, we see just what's inside our viewport. This information I've also contained, this setup I've put into a note here in the notes section. I'll just bring that up. Okay, and this is all the settings that you have to do. We'll come back to this, okay, but the information is there within your game. Let's just go back to my new room, and we'll enter these values. So here, once we've expanded viewports, enabled viewports, opened viewport 0, checked visible, we now need to put the camera properties here, width and height. We leave X and Y to 0. And the width and height is going to be 464 width, and the height is 296. Okay, and that gives us our viewport, and that is a 16:9 ratio, so that it will fit a widescreen monitor at full screen. Okay, same thing under viewport properties. In width and height, we just put the same numbers, 464, 296. Okay. And then crucially, here in object following, we set this by clicking the list, and we just choose object player. There's code, which means this viewport will just follow our player around. So that's how we achieve a camera. Haven't quite finished though. We need to put in a horizontal border. It's 230, and the vertical border is 148. And what these are, we put these numbers in to keep the player in the center of the viewport camera. Okay, so it will always keep 230 pixels between the player and the edge of the viewport. So that's why it's about half. There's a little bit of slack there. It just means that otherwise, if we didn't have that, the player would run right up to the edge of the viewport, and then the viewport would start moving, and you wouldn't be able to see anything in front of you, which would be impossible to play. Same for vertical, it's just roughly half of the height, which keeps us there. Okay, that's all in the settings that we need to do, but we do need to add a tiny little bit of code, okay, to the creation code of the room. And this is some code which is the location where your character is going to spawn, which could be different for each room. So in the room settings, again up the top, we have the creation code here, and we can click that and it opens up a code window. And this is what we need to type in. Global dot, and you'll get lots of suggestions, but we're not going into coding here, we'll just type this out exactly, it's not long. Player underscore spawn underscore x space equals space 96. Okay, at the moment 96, which is just, you'll see soon, is roughly in the top left corner of the room. And then basically just have to repeat this, so that's the x position, or the position in from the left hand side, and this is the global dot player underscore spawn underscore y equals, and we'll just do 96 again. So this just means we have somewhere for the player to spawn when the game loads, or when you die, more importantly actually. And we'll come back to this position, and you can come into the room creation code and just change these numbers to make your player spawn somewhere else, which we'll get into. Okay, so that's good. That is the initial setup of your room in the properties here for your room. I'm going to bring these back down. Don't really need to go back into them, so that's really handy. And one thing you can do, if we just center the view on the room, so you can click your background layer. So the room comes default with 2 layers, background, and you can set a color for your background if you don't like the black. So you might want to choose a nice kind of sky color, and that will give you that. The other thing you can do, of course, is toggle your grid, but also change your grid color. So if you do have a light background color, you might want to set a dark grid color. Okay, so that's basic setup of a room. The next video will go into how to place objects and start your game.